Oh, yeah, we're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. And you've just crossed over into the trend zone. Casey here with Dave. We are the football dudes. Dave, are you ready, bro?
Yes, sir. You have got that right, my friend.
All right, next stop is the trend zone. It is Wednesday, November 5th. Coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Hey, Dave, it's a beautiful 61 degrees up in the Sherm. What you
Yeah,
got on the west side?
I think it's about 61 or something over here right about
Oh,
now. So,
samesies.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Now,
61 and clear. It's beautiful.
Now that the daylight savings time is over, the mornings are lit again, thank goodness, but it's
Whew.
been real foggy. It's felt like swinging London town out there, Dave.
Sure has, man.
All right, in today's episode, looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Lewis. The trade deadline came and went, and some big time faces traded places. A little history was made. You see what I did there, Dave? A couple brutal injuries, some survivor. Our fantasy go back starts of the week, and all of the awesome games from the upcoming week. But Dave, we cannot take a trip into the trend zone without a tasty nug for the people.
Dude, I'm spilling some tasty nugs indeed. Tell you what, first of all, let's start with 9 games on Sunday decided by 7 points or fewer, and 5 of those by 3 or fewer. That's the general theme of this show. Is damn the NFL is close and it's down to the wire every week. But there's also some possible records being broken and some actual records being broken. We got the Bengals, Casey, on pace to give up the most points in NFL. You thought your Cowboys defense was giving up a lot of points.
Oh, they
This
are.
Bengals, this Bengals defense, they gave up 47 last weekend, and they are on. They've already given up 300 points on the season,
Ugh.
and that is by far the most in the NFL. They are giving up an average of 33.33 points per game. That puts them on pace for 567 points in a 17-game season. That would destroy the 530 points which is the current record for a defense given up by the 2024 Panthers. And yeah, this is a historically bad Bengals defense. I don't know if losing Burrow was enough to smash down this Bengals team, but this defense not getting it done.
Yeah, Brown and Chase were none too happy about that last week. I turned that game off
Yes,
after the Bears were up, and then the Bengals, and then come back to
you
just
could have turned it off
brutal.
twice.
I know. Dave, what about my guy JSN?
Yeah, man. Jackson Smith and Jigba for the Seahawks wide receiver, third year guy. He is on pace for the NFL's first 2,000-yard receiving season. He has 948 receiving yards through the 8 games,
Oh my god.
averaging 118 and a half game receiving yards per game, and he is the go-to man. But if they stretch that out and extrapolate over the season, that would be 2015. That would make it the first ever 2,000-yard season. Currently, the record holder is Calvin Johnson from 2012. He had 1,964 yards. His average was 122.7 yards per game. That's a little bit higher than Smith and Jigba is averaging this year, but that extra game, that 17th game, could do the trick. And we're
All
about
right.
halfway there. We're about halfway there, so
He
we'll
is
have to see.
tearing it up. I have lots of thoughts on Seattle. And Dave, a little history was made in Las Vegas over the weekend.
That's right, Cam Little, Casey, 68-yard field goal, man, and it was right down the pipe. This guy has been a little bit inaccurate lately,
A
and
little bit.
we were watching me and my brother and saying, how come they're not saying this is the record? Isn't this the record? And we kept like, did somebody get a 68-yarder or 69? They didn't say anything about it. Finally, somebody must have given him a note like, hey, he just broke the record for the
Yeah.
longest kick ever. They weren't talking about it on the broadcast. So he drills that thing, though. This guy, Little, has a big leg. Let's put it that way.
Right. And now he's a record holder. And while we're giving the people good news, the Trend Zone is available for subscription on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Dave, wherever you get your podcast. All right, let's get into some top trending stories. Um, if you have YouTube TV, ESPN and Disney are being total buttheads.
I mean, what can we say about this? First of all, NFL has got the deal lined up with ESPN
With
to sort of,
YouTube TV.
yeah, and right to with ESPN to buy for ESPN and to buy part of ESPN and have ESPN acquire part of the rights and stuff. So there they've got that, and of course the NFL has got the Sunday ticket through YouTube TV. So what in the hell is the NFL doing here? We always say, hey, the NFL got this one right. What are they doing? They are asleep here on the job. They got to pressure these two organizations that they have deals with in place to make sure that the fans don't get screwed out of watching the football.
Oh, yeah, they don't care, dude. And we woke up Friday morning to find out everything was gone from YouTube TV, and all these ESPN hosts out there shilling, oh, don't miss, call. Bull crap. You're greedy execs pushing this on people. It's total crap. Missed a bunch of college football over the weekend, and then a lot of people missed the Cowboys on Monday night. They got saved, though. That was lucky for them. But, Dave, you have YouTube TV. You have the NFL ticket. You have all this crap, and yet you still miss Monday Night Football?
It's BS, dude. I mean, if this goes on, obviously, I'm not going to just comply and go out and get one of these stupid apps that they're pushing. And the thing is that ESPN is pushing apps that they're associated with, like those other apps that you can get those channels on. And that's, that's why they're pulling this leverage play here. I'm going to get an antenna. I'm watching that game on the airwaves or whatever you call it, the old fashioned style. I'm going to go free, FOC, free of charge. I'm not going to be a complicit with this whole leverage play.
It's extortion, and it's a bunch of crap.
Yep.
And I think they're doing irreparable damage long term. YouTube TV is going to go downhill after this.
Yeah.
If I didn't have the Sunday ticket, I would be done with those fools already. But a lot of people will drop them, and they're both complicit.
Yeah, and ratings were massively down for that Monday Night Football game, even though it's the Cowboys, America's team. America.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, let's move on to some brutal injuries, man, starting in the nation's capital. This sucked.
Jaden Daniels dislocated left elbow, and it's unknown. Maybe he's out for the season. Maybe he's not. Looks like the way their season is going, you might as well not put him back in as they're sitting there at 3-6. By the time he would conceivably, it's good news. The only good news I can think of is it's his left arm, not his right arm. So it's not his throwing arm. But the concern of him coming out of college is that he might not be able to handle the physicality of the NFL. And of course, the rookie season proved that to be a fallacy. But now maybe not the case. Why was he in? And then you could, ask this question: why was he in at 38-7 when they're halfway through the fourth quarter? There's literally no chance for them to win. But I guess it's the NFL, and you never know. There might be a chance. I mean, with the way the Giants gave up the game to the Broncos a month back. But wow, what a disappointment.
Yeah, and, he's only a second-year player, so he still needs reps. He's not a complete product by any means. So I get both sides of that. They are pro players. You can get hurt on any play. That game was over, though, so it is. People are going to look back on it because he got hurt. But, Dave, he was the biggest name, but he was not the only Commander to go down in that game.
Yeah, no, and it gets worse. Marshawn Lattimore tore his ACL in the game. That is it for him for the season, and obviously that jeopardizes his situation there as well as starting the next season on time. That's highly unlikely. Luke McCaffrey also broke his collarbone. I believe it was on the opening play of the game, and that one we know is probably 6 weeks or something like that minimum. So Lattimore out for the year, McCaffrey on IR.
All right, Dave, what is the most dangerous job in America besides crab fishermen?
Yeah. Offensive lineman for the Chargers apparently has surpassed crab fisherman or whatever it is. That was the previous one. Joe Alt down for the season. He's gone. It was a high ankle sprain, the same one he just recovered from. So he only played 4 games basically this season. The Chargers obviously lost Rashawn Slater preseason. So that's their top 2 tackles. And literally everybody else on the offensive line has been banged up as well. Very disappointing. They did lose their starting right tackle in the game, also Bobby Hart, and he's indefinite. To how long that one's going to last, we don't know. But yeah, it's just it's been a disappointment with that offensive line. Didn't have obviously the foresight to think, hey, what if we lose our top 2 tackles? Technically, the third string tackle there, the swing tackle, has also been out for a handful of games there too. So
well, at least it's only the Steelers coming in town, and I don't think they hit Danny Jones that much last week. All right, Dave, run us through the rest. Yeah, run us through the rest of these injuries real quick.
Okay, that was a brutal weekend for injuries. Packers lose Tucker Kraft, the third season guy, I believe, there, and he lost his season there with a torn ACL as well, and he was having a nice season, arguably one of the top tight ends in the league, 480 yards and 6 touchdowns. The Bills lose defensive end Michael Hoyt, I think his name is there. Season over for him with the torn Achilles, non-contact injury. He had missed already the first 7 weeks coming off of a PED suspension, so he had only a couple of games of action this year before he was done. 49ers lose defensive end Michael Williams, also a torn ACL for him. So, I mean, just a terrible. Oh, guess what? An Achilles for defensive end Deo Adebanyango. I say it for me.
Close enough.
Right. Deo O. The Bears lose him for the season as well with an Achilles. Just recently came in, Casey, Kyler Murray to be placed on injured reserve today. That foot is not healing, and it's nagging. And also the other guy's playing pretty well, so looking pretty good there. No reason to rush him back in terms of the way they're getting the quarterback playing there. So yeah. Tough
Kyler
situation.
might have worn his welcome out in Arizona. Yeah. That might be a bigger overlying problem there. We'll see what happens towards the end of the season, though. But a former Charger, Asante Samuel Jr., is making the rounds, baby.
Yeah, he's got a chance. And if this maybe it scares you a little bit, spinal fusion surgery. Spinal fusion. Okay, well, that sounds pretty tough. He had missed most of last season with a stinger-like condition. That was, week to week or whatever, but he was obviously in a lot worse situation than just a stinger. So yeah, he was a second rounder. He's a talented kid. And I wish him the best. I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit more than a little bit cautious with whether or not this guy is good to go. It's a scary injury when your spine is fused to solve the problem.
Yeah, and then we had a Dolphin voluntarily jump into the tuna net saying, "Take me away."
Yeah, GM Chris Greer, dude. And he's been with the Dolphins since 2000, and then he became their GM in 2016. So he's been there, for a long time there. But yeah, I guess it was time to go for him. And really, when you look at it from Stephen Ross, the owner's perspective, who he has his own issues, but I think it could come back to that contract that Tua signed that pays him a guaranteed $153 million over the first 3 seasons. That means they still owe him a ton of money, which means now that we speculate the coach may be gone also at the end of the year. And now the new coach and the new GM are sort of anchored to Tua. Whether it's good or bad, one way or another, they don't really get a clean slate.
Yeah, and then Stefanski's giving up offensive play calls to one of your former Domers.
Yeah, quarterback for the Irish, and then offensive coordinator for the Irish and play caller, Tommy Rees. He was also very effective with the Alabama college football team, Crimson Tide there. So that got him the gig there. And now Stefanski just in the bye just said, hey, let's take a look at this. And let's get some fresh ideas in here and somebody else to hopefully spark that offense where they're looking to get more going. Quarterback stays the same, though. Dylan Gabriel will be running the show there. And we'll see if, Tommy Rees's play calling can inject a little excitement into how they're scheming it up.
All right. Speaking of injecting excitement into the NFL season, baby, the trade deadline was on Tuesday, and we actually had some big-time action.
Oh, man. Wow, this is about the most crazy trade deadline as we've seen, Casey, Ravens to start with trade with the Titans to acquire rusher Draymond Jones, and they get him for a conditional 5th-round pick.
What about the Eagles? Howie's
Eagles.
always cooking, dude. I hate
He
him.
is. You got to love Howie Roseman there and how he is willing to wheel and deal. They get Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins in exchange for a 2026 3rd-rounder. Fangio worked over there for that one season in Miami, and he targeted this. So you got to feel that that's going to be a nice acquisition. Eagles also got cornerbacks Jair Alexander and Michael Carter recently. Before the trade deadline, not at the deadline, So they have been doing some business.
And then Sauce Gardner goes to bed in last place, wakes up in first place.
This is probably, one of the big ones here, as the Jets really pulled a lot of big moves. Colts will send 2 first-round picks to the Jets for Gardner. The next 2 years, they'll be handing over those picks. Gardner was obviously first-team All-Pro in his first 2 seasons, so we're talking about an absolutely awesome player, the kind of player that if you're a franchise, you want to build your franchise around. Well, not unless you're if you're the Jets. Apparently, that's not their plan. They got a nice haul back for him, though. So, and he's under contract. Somehow the contract was movable the way they structured it. But, it'll be an acceptable deal for both sides in terms of the way the contract works out. So, additionally, besides the 2 picks that the Colts gave up, they also gave up A.D. Mitchell, wide receiver, who, as a 2nd-rounder from 2024, had kind of fallen out of favor with the Colts, largely, not because he fumbled that ball in the end zone idiotically that he did. It just seemed like he wasn't, getting a lot of snaps there. So maybe there's other reasons behind the scene that we're not aware of. But he has a lot of talent. We'll see what he gets. He's on the season. He only has 9 catches, so it's not like they're giving up a lot. But fresh new start for A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah, and Chargers buyers and sellers at the deadline.
Yeah, Chargers send off cornerback Jasir Taylor to the Jets, so they get a little something back on the back end. He's mostly a special teamer. And then Chargers acquire offensive lineman Trevor Penning from the Saints. Those are both late-round exchanges in the future years, so not a lot in terms of the cost of acquisition for those, but the Chargers did need to bring in a body. And again, I don't know if anyone explained to Penning the injury risk involved, but apparently he doesn't have the option to decline the trade, so he's on board with the Chargers.
And then another dynamic player goes to sleep in last place, wakes up in first place.
Yeah, how about the Seahawks trade 2026 4th and 5th-round picks to the Saints for Rashid Shaheed. And Shaheed is a young, talented guy there. So they add that to the mix. It seemed like all of the previous receivers from the Seahawks had gotten older, and it was all about Jackson Smith and Jigba. But then now they add another really nice piece to the other side to balance that out.
Speedster, dude. Oh, man, I think this is going to make JSN even deadlier and open
up
the Cooper Kupp, too.
It's not like they were struggling with the wide receiver position. Nobody could cover the kid. But now you have another weapon there. If you're going to spend too much resources covering JSN, then you're going to get burned by Shaheed on the other side.
Yeah. Oh,
Casey, the next one's the big one.
Come on.
For the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? They acquire who? Who do they
Logan Wilson?
No, I don't think so.
Quinnen Williams, babe, from the New York Jets, man. Jarrah teased that he had something in the works. Then we got smoked by the Cardinals, and everybody's like, don't do it. But the Cowboys go get the war daddy, Quinnen Williams, from the Jets for a 2nd-round pick in 26 and a 1st-round pick in 27, which is ever the better one of the Cowboys or the Packers there. Cowboys will still have a 1st-round pick in 27, so I like it. And they send off Mozzie Smith in this. So
former 1st-rounder too.
Mozzie. And I just don't know how much Mozzie Smith loves football. You saw the quote, "I don't love football. I just like to hit people." But to his defense, 3 different defensive coordinators in 3 years. They tried to make him lose weight. They tried to make him gain weight and then tried to make him lose weight. So he's just been lost. So I didn't love the pick when it happened, but maybe he can be a reclamation project there in New York. But now, dude, you got Quinnen Williams right next to Kenny Clark. they're going to be able to stop the run. You get the best run stuffing defensive lineman in the NFL. Still have 2 years under contract with this guy. So I think it's a great get. Cowboys have a week off. Hope to get DeMarvion Overshown back and Revel, the 3rd round draft pick after the bye. So we'll see. They got to go on a run down the stretch. It is possible. You get those Raiders after the bye, so anything's possible. But Dave, speaking of those Raiders, they're going to be a little bit worse than they would have been.
Yeah, Jacoby Myers has been asking for a trade for a while now, maybe the whole season. I don't know. He is signed through 2025. Full salary, base salary of $10.5 million. He's a good player. 4 years with the Patriots. He did a regrettable mistake. Signing up with the Raiders, but he did gain 1,000+ yards last year. So that sort of set him up to be somebody that you would want to acquire. And sure enough, Jaguars go out and get him to add to their arsenal moving forward. The Jags are in a pretty good position right now, bringing him on board. Maybe that helps round out their offensive attack.
Yeah, and he catches everything, and that's what Trevor Lawrence needs to help him get a little more consistent on that offense. All right, Dave, so we mentioned Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams go. So the Jets now, I mean, this season is clearly over, but the future is bright for our Jet fan that loves the draft more than the actual season.
Right. The Jets, I think that this is their Super Bowl is the draft day. Now they'll have 2 first-round picks in 26. Theirs in the Colts, and their own second-round pick, which will be nice and high, obviously. They also have 3 first-round picks in 2027. There's the Cowboys and the Colts. So, wow. Jets are going to be set up in the next 2 years of the draft. That 2027 draft looking pretty good. But if they want to get their quarterback, maybe they are in position to do it this year. We'll see what Jet fan is hoping to acquire with all of that draft capital.
And they get a quarterback and not blow it.
And not ruin him.
Yeah, easier said than done. All right, Dave, speaking of, it is time for total fantasy domination. Give me the number 1 overall pick at quarterback.
Yeah, it's Caleb Williams, dude. He's on waivers in our league, obviously, for the Bears. Be a good streamer. 280 pass yards, 3 pass touchdowns, 53 rush yards, 22 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. Wow, Caleb Williams did it all.
It's hard to imagine that he had better stats than in a game against the Cowboys, but hey, the Bengals will do that for you. How about CMC for Chuckles and the San Francisco 49ers? 106 rush yards, a rushing TD, 67 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. Like I said, they're on Chuckles, but CMC did that to the dirty Giants. In your face, Winker.
At wide receiver, it is Drake London for the Donkey Shawns and the Atlanta Falcon. 118 yards and three receiving touchdowns for Drake London.
And also on the Donkey Shawns, Brock Bowers, 127 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. And I'll tell you why that chaps my behind, Dave. But first, fantasy go back starts of the week. If you could have made a substitution before all the action this weekend, would you have? Could you have? And how would it have treated your fantasy week?
Yeah, I could have played T. Higgins and Travis Etienne instead.
Hey, it's T. Higgins every week for you.
Every week it's my mistake. Why am I keeping him on the bench? No longer. Well, it's because I thought Keenan Allen was going to rip up that Titans secondary, so I switched him out. It would have been, it could have been Higgins and Travis Etienne. Instead, I played Keenan Allen, and of course, mistake, played Jonathan Taylor. But if I would have played the other two, it would have been an additional 27.8 points, resulting in a 145.4 score. That would have moved me from third to first. However, I did win the game, so I'm not overly regretting. And I still came in third.
You mentioned Drake London and 3 touchdowns and Brock Bowers with 3 touchdowns for the Donkey Shawns. You'll never who guess was playing the Donkey Shawns this year.
No.
Oh, my freaking Cowboys, Dave. I cannot catch a break this year fantasy-wise. I was the second highest scorer in the league. I would have beaten every other team in our league except the stupid Donkey Shawns. That shaved, stinky Wookie goes by the name of Ken. gets so lucky. 31 for Bowers, 29 for Drake London. I cannot catch a break this year in the fantasy realm, Dave, but you know what? I'm all about reality. Oh, wait, my Cowboys suck too. It's just one of those years, Dave. All right. You know why I'm still alive? 3 strikes pool. You know why? Because I went with the most popular correct pick last week, who was
Rams over the Saints at 51.5%. Wow.
And what about the most popular incorrect picks last week?
All right. We have Green Bay over Carolina. That was nearly 13%. Also, just for some added measure, Detroit over Minnesota, also almost 4%. So
that's surprising that was so low.
Yeah. Minnesota had not been playing well of late, but yeah, that's well over 15. It's more than 16% of the people took a strike or got whacked.
Well, I guess when 50, almost 52% are on the Rams over the Saints, and a bunch were on our Chargers too. Sorry, excuse me.
Right.
All right, what are the most popular picks moving into next week?
Yeah, I listed a handful here. The big one is Carolina over the New Orleans Saints at nearly 30%. I'm a little bit
I don't like that game.
Not comfortable with that
I'm
one.
off of that one.
Denver over the Raiders. It's divisional. That's 26.5 or 27.5% there. Seems like an easy win for the Broncos, but it is divisional. Other ones to consider: Seattle over Arizona. Arizona, though, played some pretty good football, and that's divisional too. That's 13.5%. Buffalo over Miami. That one sounds pretty tasty if you have Buffalo available, nearly 13%. And then a last one at almost 10%. Detroit to beat Washington with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. So a couple of good picks there. I agree with you, Casey. Carolina over New Orleans at nearly 30%. It's got me a little bit weird. I don't know.
I'm staying away from that one, dude. I don't like that one at all, but hopefully it takes out a bunch of people.
Right?
All right, Dave, you know what? I'm done talking this fantasy crap.
Garbage.
I'm done talking this survivor crap. I want to talk about the games that are coming up in week 10, my friend.
Well, excuse me, what?
Yeah, it's week 10, Dave.
It's slipping away. I can't believe this. It's
double digits.
Unbelievable.
Double digits. Week 10. Oh. And on bye this week are the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Titans, and my Dallas Cowboys, Dave. But at least we have Thursday night football. Lay it on me, baby.
Yeah, Thursday night. We've got a doozy. It is the Las Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos. Broncos are at home in this one, of course, favored by 9.
9, Dave. Well, I'm going to start with these Raiders that lost a brutal game in overtime to the Jacksonville Jaguars, 30-29. Pete Carroll going for 2 in overtime. He hands it off to Ashton Genty. He doesn't get in. No, I'm just kidding, Dave. Pete Carroll threw the ball from the 2, and it did not work.
Nice.
Gino played pretty well last week. Almost 300 yards and 4 touchdowns and an interception. Genty's still not getting off, though, dude. Only 13 for 42. Brock Bowers, though, we mentioned him in TFD, 127 yards and 3 touchdowns, Dave. But these Denver Broncos, dude, if they were the Denver Kitty Cats, they'd be on like their 7th, 8th, or maybe even 9th life. It took them into the last drive of that game to finally get the lead over those Houston Texans. But these fourth quarter Broncos, man, something about them. They outscored the Texans 11-0 in that fourth quarter. Bo Nix, not a great job passing, but had the huge run late in that thing to seal the deal. And these Broncos, man, I don't know if they're using up all their luck or just finding a way to get it done. But, man, they are living on the edge, but that makes their games hella fun to watch.
Yeah, I believe they're on a 6-game win streak, and most of those were nail biters that they could have given up at the end. Again, it's hard to determine, is this like a team that just always finds a way to win, or is it just like, wow, they're lucking out these, and then at some point they're going to have to pay it back, in some bad luck.
Maybe in the playoffs.
We shall
All right,
see.
Dave, let's get it going. Sunday's action, the Atlanta Falcons, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Colts are 5.5-point favorites in this one.
Wow. Well, let's start with the Falcons. They disappointing last week, unfortunately, as their game with a late missed field goal. Um, they seem to be in the comeback mode, coming after a really strong New England Patriots team, and unfortunately, they just special teams mess up towards the end of that game, leaves them 1 point shy as they lose 24-23 to the Patriots, and then on the other side, you look at this Colts team. I mean, they were head and shoulders above the rest of the AFC, even the NFL, the way they had been playing, absolutely dismembering teams, dismantling them along the way. And they got manhandled by the Steelers, whose defense was recently criticized soundly in The Athletic as being the way overpaid and way underachieving defense. Like a horrible can get anything done this week, and if the Colts will just go back to their way where they had been destroying teams,
Yeah, and maybe they got 6 turnovers in that game. You're going to lose those, but at least it happened in just one game.
No doubt. Okay, up next we got the New York Giants at the Chicago Bears, and the Giants are actually on the road and favored in this game by 3.5. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, they played the Niners tough last week, 34-24. But it wasn't really that close. They just had a nice fourth quarter. Jackson Dart had a pretty good game. Didn't turn the ball over. Got Darius Slayton back. He had a nice game, 5 of 62. It was kind of a split between Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary to get the run game going. Actually, Jackson Dart, the leading rusher in that game. I'm a little surprised they're the favorites there. And then you flip it over to these Bears, man. It's hard to say that the Bears-Bengals was the best game of the season, but maybe it was. And you mentioned Caleb and total fantasy domination, man. 20-34, 283 touchdowns. And how did my Odunze get 0 points? That's the kind of cursed fantasy. You're telling me they score 42 points, 47 points, my friend, and Odunze gets me a fat 0 in fantasy. We'll see if that was the Bengals or if this Ben Johnson defense is starting to pick it up.
All right, I just did a quick update on that, Casey. It is, in fact, the Bears favored originally by 3.5, and now it's trended towards 4.5. So, oops, that's on me.
All right, no worries. It seemed a little fishy, but
right.
Lines are the lines. All right. Oh, go fast on this. Cleveland Browns at the New York Jets. Both these teams coming off of bye. You mean the Jets are coming off of sell.
Good way to spin that, Casey. All right, so we'll first talk about these Brownies. It was 2 weeks ago that they got totally destroyed by the Patriots, 32-13. It was that sort of triggered the shifting at the offensive play caller position. The Browns are definitely searching for, their defense is pretty solid, but how can they get more consistent productivity offensively? And then you look at this New York squad. I'm coming off an unbelievable victory to get off the schneid there and get their first W on the season, beating the Cincinnati Bengals. I guess the question is, if the Jets can put up 39 on the Bengals, wow, that really is historically a bad defense, because the Jets hadn't been able to put together a lot of good offense this season consistently. But this is going to be an interesting game. Mainly because you got a two-win team versus a one-team win. At least we're expecting a competitive game here, because both these teams have struggled.
And now the Jets are without their 2 best defensive players, so that's good news for Dylan Gabriel and Judkins.
And especially it's good news for Jets fans who love the draft.
That's right. And David Njoku really likes being a Brown. He was worried he might get traded. He said he wants to be there. So,
good for him.
All right.
I guess the grass isn't always greener for some folks. All right, moving along, Casey. We have the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers, and the Panthers at home are favored by 5.5.
Yeah, the Saints got smoked by our LA Rams last week. My friends Willie and Gina came all the way from Texas to watch that beatdown. I'm like, okay,
Ugh.
Tyler Shuck, not great, not terrible, kind of what you expect making his first start, 15 to 24, 176, a TD and an interception. Just no support in the run game for this guy.
Yeah.
And Rashid Shaheed was his leading receiver last week. Guess what? He's no longer there. And then the Panthers do us a solid, baby. They go into Lambeau and beat the Packers. So I'm digging that. Rico, even though Chuba got the big deal in the offseason, Rico has been the guy there. He's coming off a 25, 130, and 2 touchdowns. That's over 5 yards a carry. I guess you can throw for 100 yards when you run for 130, but we talked about it earlier. This feels like some Saints mojo going to happen in this one.
No doubt about it.
All right, Dave. You got something else on that game?
No.
Okay, all right. All right, up next, it is the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins, and the Bills are 9.5-point favorites.
Yeah, Bills coming off an awesome victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. Very satisfying with 3 Josh Allen touchdowns. And a really, really awesome defensive performance against Mahomes. They held Mahomes to under 50% passing, which I don't know if anyone's ever done until now. So that is, they seem to have the Chiefs number in the regular season and not in the postseason. But the Bills played an exceptional football game last week. And here they're going to Miami to play the Dolphins. Dolphins are on the mini bye coming off of that Thursday night, but they just got dismantled by the Ravens and only put up 6 points doing so. So they gave up also 4 touchdown passes to Lamar. So imagine if Lamar's going to do that, Josh Allen should be pretty confident heading over there for this divisional matchup to just take Bills, just roll into town, take care of business, and get out of town with the W.
All right. Going to be good. What we got next?
It is
a lot of purple.
Yeah, that's right. Baltimore Ravens at the Minnesota Vikings. Ravens on the road are favored by 4 in this one. And you got the Ravens case. What do you got?
Yeah, dude, Lamar coming back from that injury. I thought maybe they spit this guy over, the Thursday night game. Wrong. He comes back in, 4 touchdowns on the game. Derrick Henry, 19 carries, 120 yards. Zay Flowers, 5 for 64. We had an Isaiah Likely signing, but the Ravens are getting healthy on defense, and that's kind of what's turning this team around. Now healthy Lamar, that defense getting healthy. The Ravens are looking to go on a run, baby.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This Ravens squad, and we talked about it last week, how their schedule falls for them. They've got a bunch of very winnable games over the next 6 weeks, and it would literally, since they're getting healthy, we know they've got the championship resume. This is a team that's going to run the table here, not run the table per se, but put together a nice little win streak here. They're at 3-5 right now. Would not surprise me to see them go to 6-5 or 7-5, considering the upcoming schedule. But obviously, finding their rhythm last week, destroying the Dolphins, and like you said, getting a lot of players back. Players win football games in the NFL. You need your guys, and obviously Lamar being a huge factor there. Getting the tight ends kind of back in rhythm. This is a tight end centric kind of offense, and getting their tight ends back in the mix coming forward here is going to be a big factor. Obviously, note to the OC in Baltimore: run King Henry a whole bunch and control the game.
All right, up next, it is the New England Patriots at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Bucs are 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah, so the Bucs are coming off of their bye, and their last game they played, they destroyed the New Orleans Saints by a score of 23-3 in that game. Mayfield has had, for a while, we were saying an MVP-like season, how he was winning games late and stuff like that. They didn't need to do that against the Saints. He had a very modest game, passing for just 152 yards. And they really didn't have to do a heck of a lot. Just get out in front and then hold the lead, as they only gave up 3 points. So this is going to be a way tougher opponent here in the Patriots, and look for the Buccaneers to have to, work a little bit harder to get that going. Casey, sorry about that. You've got the Patriots.
Yeah, and Patriots are one of the hottest teams in the NFL.
Yes, they are.
I think that's like 6 in a row or something. Drake May, man, he wasn't the first drafted in that draft class, but he's looking like he might be the best. I know it is early, but I just love the moxie that this cat plays with. Starting to get a little bit out of Travion Henderson. He got the bulk of the carries there at running back. Demario Douglas, Hunter Henry, Stephon Diggs, man, get distributing the ball well. It's a different guy each week that does it for these guys.
Yeah.
But just a tough team, grimy defense. And this is a huge game, man. Both of these teams looking for that top spot in their respective conferences. So
wow,
it's gonna be a fun game, man. And it's going to be physical. And I don't know if we're getting Godwin back for this one. I don't think we're getting Bucky Irving back, but those guys are on the mend for these Bucks, and at some point they will be back.
Yeah, and the way this Patriots team is playing, it's just smart football, physical football. You mentioned it, just taking on the coach's identity there. So it's just fun to see how quickly quality coaching can turn around, and a talented young quarterback can turn around a franchise.
Absolutely.
All right, up next is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Houston Texans, and the Texans are at home in this one, favored by a point.
Yeah, and the Jags are sniffing around on the Colts now after the Colts take that loss to the Steelers, and the Jags find a way to get a big win on the road. Didn't have their best stuff, but they had the guts to take that thing at the end. Got the ball first in overtime, drove down there and got the touchdown. Etienne bounces back for 84 yards. And Brian Thomas Jr. looked a little bit better, but now you're adding the former Raider into that mix, Jacoby Myers. So that's going to be another weapon that Lawrence could trust. He'll run good routes, and he's got great hands. So Jacksonville, everything they want still out in front of him. But Dave, this Texans defense, bro, they are freaking grimy, dude.
No doubt about it, dude. I mean, unfortunately, they are coming off a heartbreaking loss to the Denver Broncos, where they came up short right at the end, letting the Broncos steal that game away, where it felt like, really, I mean, that was a pivotal game for them, because sitting at 3-5, they could have been 4-4. And also, to add injury to insult, is losing Stroud, and he's still in the concussion program protocol right now. He's a no-go for this week, so it'll be Davis Mills. The thing about Davis Mills, though, is this guy does have NFL talent, size, strength, and the arm to be an NFL quarterback. A lot of times this happens in the NFL. Guy, the regime changes, all the things change around him, and his opportunity slips away. But Davis Mills hanging around there, this could be a big chance for him to get it going. He didn't play terribly in relief of Stroud last week after the Broncos cheap shotted him out of the game. But we'll look to see if a week of practice with Davis Mills at the helm will get them going. They need to get the running game going. Woody Marks and Nick Chubb there, about 60 yards rushing last week against a very good Broncos squad. They'll need to be a more balanced attack. And that defense, you mentioned it. This is a vicious defense. They got to create some turnovers, something like that, and give the offense some extra chances.
Yeah, man. If Houston can figure out a way to get this one, man, they will be right back in the mix. All right, Dave, another divisional battle. The Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks. And the Seahawks are 7-point favorites in this one.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about these Cardinals, Casey. You saw it firsthand. I listened to it, believe it or not. I did not break down and get any visuals on this game. So I listened to the Monday night Westwood One production of the Cardinals-Cowboys game last week, as the Cardinals played a really good football game with the quarterback there, Jacoby Brissett. Still, and it was a couple of weeks back where he threw for more than 300 yards. Brissett's playing some really good football right now. The way he's operating that off. Seems like he's running the offense on sketching, and Marvin Harrison with a nice performance, as well as Trey McBride, both scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, and these Seahawks, man, it's early, but they're looking like one of the best squads in the NFL to me. Sam Darnold playing lights out. What, he hit like 16 in a row against the Commandos, against that defense.
Yeah.
Ended the day with only 3 incompletions, over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Still need to get more out of the running game, but mentioned Jackson Smith and Jigba for 129. But Horton, rookie Horton, he had 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And now you're throwing Rashid Shaheed into that mix. Man, another dynamic weapon for this offense. But the defense, dude, is picking up too. Mike McDonald has got these guys playing very well. It is going to be rocking for those 12s, baby.
All right. Yeah, love how Sam Darnold's been playing. It's just so fun to see him, feeling so confident and playing so well. All right, moving along. Our Los Angeles Rams are heading to San Francisco. This is divisional. Obviously, this one is always physical and always seems to be close. The Rams are on the road, though, favored by 3.5 in this one.
Yeah, and these dirty Niners came down here to LA and did the Rams in whose house? Our house on a Thursday night with about 50 guys on missing the game due to injuries. But no one told the Niners that. But Matt Stafford, this is another guy you could throw into MVP mix, man. It's putting together like a month of complete ass kicking. It was the Saints, but he had 4 touchdowns last week. Kyron Williams, 114 on the ground. Puka's back and getting healthy, and Devontae and Stafford really on the same page now. So maybe Stafford's starting to light it up because his boy Clayton Kershaw and our Los Angeles Dodgers just won another World Series, and those guys were high school teammates. So maybe a little of that is rubbing off on the Rams. But these Rams are one of the most complete teams in the NFL, and they've got revenge on their mind. Like I said, these Niners came down here and kicked their butts in LA just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and this Niners team is it's just so surprising they're sitting at 6-3, considering the amount of injuries that they've sustained this year. But they've been able to, most importantly, get productivity out of the quarterback position, despite the fact that Brock Purdy has missed, I want to say, half the season, or something like that. I don't know the exact number, maybe 5 games that he hasn't been in. And Mac Jones, the guy that we thought they were trading for conceivably when the Niners traded up to the 3rd spot in the draft years back there. He's been playing exceptionally well. 2 pass touchdowns last week as they took care of business against the Giants in a big win there. But what they really did was get Christian McCaffrey going, and the running game in particular last week. McCaffrey, 106 yards on the ground. Brian Robinson Jr., 53 more yards on the ground. And then McCaffrey through the air, 67 yards and a touchdown, both rushing and receiving for McCaffrey. Brian Robinson grabs a touchdown on the ground, and Jennings through the air. So really nice balance there. Mac Jones doing, basically Shanahan just wants somebody to run the offense the way it was schemed up. Because the schemes are good, and Mac Jones is pulling the trigger and getting the job done. This is going to be one of the better games of this weekend because, again, we know these two teams don't like each other. This is divisional, and it always seems to come down to the last minute between these teams.
Yeah, Mac Jones doing it with no receivers either. All right, Dave, yep. a rematch of the NFC divisional round last year, the Detroit Rock City Lions at the Washington Commanders. And the Lions are 9-point favorites.
Yeah, and this Lions team coming off a surprising loss to divisional rival the Vikings last week, as they basically gave up a pretty nice game to J.J. McCarthy. in his first game back, and the Vikings were reeling, and it looked like all the Lions had to do was show up and say, "Hey, we're hear us roar, and we're going to get it done." Not a bad game from Goff, 284 passing and 2 touchdowns, but just not a great game on the ground. Jahmyr Gibbs, rather, just 25 rushing yards. I mean, when does that ever happen? So between Montgomery and Gibbs, it's 65 yards on the ground. They just couldn't get the consistency going there, and they're going to have to do that this week. Get the ground game going, get it established, and then let Jared Goff dish it out, to move the chains a little bit. But you got to establish your physicality if you're the Lions here and win in the trenches in this game against the Commanders. Commanders reeling at this point.
Yeah, everybody wanted to hand them this division and say, oh, they were back and all this thing, and it's just been brutal with the injuries. Obviously, Jaden Daniels, McCaffrey. They also don't have Scary Terry. I don't know how many games that cat's played in this year, but it's not been many. So
I think he's missed 5 games, maybe four or 5 games, and he's huge. I mean,
so it's really up to Ertz and Debo to get this thing done. The running game's not been great either. Now you take away what Daniels adds to it. It's putting a lot on Marcus Mariota's shoulders, and this defense has not been great either. That's supposed to be Quinn's specialty, and so far we haven't seen it. But their backs are against the wall. This season is almost out of reach, but they still have life. You find a way to beat these Detroit Lions, and there will be a lot more feeling good in DC, but I don't know that I see that happening.
Yeah, they are, like I said, reeling and coming across a Lions team that just got beat by a divisional opponent. Not good timing there. Okay, moving along. It is the Sunday night football game. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers heading out to California to play our Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers at home in this one are favored by 2.5.
Wow. And Dave, it is a bad week to be losing your Joe Alt, dude, because this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, man, they found life last week. I don't know what happened, but they were all over Danny Dimebags. 5 sacks last week, 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles, lost 2 of them, man. That's the Steelers defense we kind of thought we would see. Low-key day by Aaron Rodgers, only 200 yards and a touchdown. And it was really that defense that carried them last week. They didn't have a lot going on offense, and that kind of got lost in the mix because of how well that defense played, set them up from some short fields. Jalen Warren with a couple touchdowns. So we'll see how these Steelers play. This defense has been so hit and miss, but last week it was a lot more hit than miss, and that's got me worried for Herbert, who's already taken a beating this season.
Oh, yeah. We just obviously talked about the Chargers' offensive line woes. They did trade for Penning, and my guess would be he will be starting at tackle, one either left or right. There's a hope that Mekhi Becton, who's been in and out of the lineup, he's literally missed almost half the season with knick-knacky injuries, but that's no surprise based on his history. Chargers edged out the Titans against the Colts, and the Chargers special teams is literally the worst in the league right now. I'm afraid to say we just don't have the personnel with all the injuries that have been accumulated on this Charger squad. They've lost a lot of good special teamers along the way. So good news, they do get their long snapper back. Let's talk about the Chargers, the good from last week. They held the Titans to just 6 points. It's the Titans. Special team benefit for this Chargers team. He ran the ball 9 times last week for 57 yards. That outgained both other running backs. So that can't be good, right? But nice. We finally got weapons. Gadsden, the tight end, playing exceptionally well. McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, Trey Harris, all these guys contributing. Catching the football. But we just got to ride this thing out. Find a way to get a couple of W's and get a couple of more guys back and healthy. Stabilize that offensive line and somehow get through a game without injuring another offensive lineman. We'd like to get our running back back. We're down our top 3 running backs, by the way, too. Omari and Hampton, the rookie, who seemed to be turning it on, is coming back sometime soon. This is not a good situation for the Chargers, facing a Steelers team that's playing as good of defense as they just did last week, even though they've struggled a bit this year. Seems like they found their rhythm just in time to play the Chargers.
Well, the good news is all those yellow terrible towels, you might think that they're for the Chargers. So, I don't think there'll be many Steeler fans there, Dave.
No,
they don't really.
Steeler fans don't travel well. Come on now.
Right. Monday Night Football. Will people get to see it? I don't know. But if they do, it will be the Philadelphia Eagles at the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers are 2.5-point favorites over the defending Super Bowl champs.
Interesting. Well, the Eagles are coming back off of their bye. Last time they played, they were out there and they took advantage of a 2-7 Giants team. Well, gave them their 7th loss. And it was another workmanlike day, a lunch pail day for Saquon Barkley. 14 rushes, 150 yards, 10.7 per carry. So I guess if you're getting more than 10 yards a carry, you should just keep handing the ball to Saquon Barkley. Not to mention Tank Bigsby with 9 carries, 104 yards. If you decide to get tired of handing it to Barkley, Bigsby averaged 11.6 yards a carry in that game. Obviously, the Giants do have a decent defense, and especially that front, really. But obviously, this Eagles team was in a rhythm with that offensive line and the running game, and that just took care of business there. If they can run like that against this Packers team, that'll take care of that, right? They'll dominate this football game, time of possession, and they'll put up the points they need. This Packers team, when they play well, it seems like they're great, and then when they don't, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, well, you mentioned all those running yards. That's bad news because this team gave up 130 Rico Dowdle last week at over 5 yards a carry. And Dave, guess what? Micah Parsons and I both had the same amount of quarterback pressures and QB sacks last week, okay? The only problem is he's got $47 million and I don't. But these Packers, what a disappointing game last week. You're losing a game to the Panthers at home. And Bryce Young with more than a couple, what the hell are you doing throws in this game? Just inexplicable mistakes. This is supposed to be the MVP, and he did not play all that well last week. So I need to see more out of that guy. Josh Jacobs always delivers, though, man. That cat gets stronger as the game goes longer. And unfortunately, the Packers, we mentioned it earlier, they lost Tucker Kraft, who's putting together a really nice season. So Luke Musgrave might be out there in some fantasy leagues. If you can grab him, go ahead and do that. Christian Watson, 2 receptions, 58 yards. I think that's his second game back for these Packers. So this is really a must-win for the Pack. And, last week just was not good enough. So I expect them to play much better. But like you said, sometimes it's a great team and sometimes, so who knows?
Yeah, Jordan Love, the quarterback there, seemingly started the season on a MVP caliber campaign, but yeah, no shows along the way.
And an Eagles team coming off a bye.
Ooh, we know what that means.
Yup. So many ways you can check out the Football Dudes. The TrendZone is now available for subscription. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music.
Yeah, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Instagram and Facebook,
Twitter books.
Follow us on Twitter/X at Football Dudes LA. Make sure to tag us across all social media platforms.
The face tubes, Dave. All the kids are doing it. And if you're out there surfing the interwebs, go ahead and bookmark footballdudes.com. That is going to do it for this episode of the Trend Zone. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. For Dave, I'm Casey. We are out of here.